Welcome back to another episode of the Archives with Adam and Fab. We're actually starting off season 2, episode 1, with an amazing guest. Man, I've been waiting for this one for a while. We've been working on it and got it to happen. Today we have Jae Head. As you guys may know, we had Quentin Aaron on the episode, but I was like, you know what? We need to hit Jae Head up, and we made it happen, man.
Absolutely. I'm really glad to be here. Yeah, we got it set up rather quickly, like within 10 days, like a week, 10 days, something like that. It was pretty good, pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Now, I know you've been busy moving and things like that, but it happened very quick. Probably one of the quickest that we've had set up. So we appreciate that.
Of course. Yeah. And I'm glad I was able to make it easy for you guys. And, like I said, I'd seen little snippets of Quentin's episode and he said he had a good time. And so when my team said you guys were reaching out, I said, well, figure why not? It sounds like a good time.
Definitely. So many of our guests may know you from the Blind Side, right? But you've also appeared in, other movies and shows, Hancock being one of them, as well as Friday Night Lights. Fabi was talking about one, I think it was called Hell Girl. I'm going to be honest, we have never seen it, but we definitely need to. You've never seen it?
That was, so to be 100% transparent, that was a film that I had done like within my first 6 months of living in LA. I was 18 years old. A producer friend of mine who I had shot a movie with when I was like 16, he hit me up and he was like, hey man, I'm shooting this horror film. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours out of LA. He's like, it's not really a paycheck for you. He's like, but we could really use somebody to fill in for this role. It's only like 3 weeks, but we pay for your, you get to go to this, you get to go to the Big Bear, to the woods and see the snow, and we'll pay for everything. And I was like, done, I'm there. So, but it was one of those shoots where you could definitely tell it was a lot of first timers, which, it's not, it's everybody has their, you get your experience and it is, but it was one of those interesting shoots. By the end of it, it was an adventure for sure. We'll say that.
Do you have any fun stories from that shoot that you want to talk about? Maybe some challenges.
So I actually played a character who was in an accident, and so he's paralyzed. So I'm in a wheelchair, and I'm telling you right now, you think it's easy to do that because you're like, oh, you just sit down, great. No, they have somebody sitting there going, hey, you're moving your legs, like the whole time, and you have I don't even realize it. I'm just sitting there, and they're like, yeah, apparently my legs are just kicking while I'm in this chair, and they're like, yeah, you can't do that, don't do that. So that was a challenge of figuring out hey, you gotta sit, you gotta your body has to sell it too, not just everything else. So that was pretty fun, and it was I had never done a horror flick before, something kind of scary, and so it was cool to see all the get to use all the blood and the the cool effects. Like my character, spoiler. My character gets killed in a pretty gruesome way, and how we shot that was pretty cool. I still have all the photos saved. And that was a fun time. So that that experience of being on set, and it felt like old school movies of just go and get the camera ready, go. So It was pretty cool.
See, I was going to ask you, did you live or did you die because you're in a wheelchair? But
so my character, so what they told me that my character was originally the black guy that dies first. That's what they told me. Was originally that was my character, and then they rewrote it or whatever. And by the time when the role came down to me, they were like, you know what, we're gonna fix it up. So no, I don't make it, but it was still a great time. Like I said, I got to be out in the woods for 3.5 weeks, where right when it started snowing, right when the snow season started, it was awesome. I got there and everything was green and it looked like summer camp. And then I woke up one morning and opened up my front door and it was solid white everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm from Texas. It doesn't snow like that there. If we get snow, it's that much and you can barely make a snowball with it. But this was like snow. And that was one of the cooler experiences I've ever had, especially on a set.
Okay. So Fabi's from El Salvador, her and her family, and she hates the snow. So when we get it, she's like, just stop wishing for the snow, man. Just stop.
I know.
I don't do cold. I don't do snow. I'm not, I like New York. I love New York. I think it's a fun place to go. but those people are a different kind of tough to deal with that weather every year. No, I cheer to salute. More power to you. I'm not doing it. I'll stay in Texas where it's 95 at 8 p.m. during the summer.
Yeah, so we just had like a ice storm this past winter. Now I don't think it was winter time, but we had an ice storm. Wow. It was pretty bad. It was like what, March or April, something like that.
Something like that. It was to the point where like people would try to drive their cars down the hill, and people were like literally sliding. Sliding.
Nope. Yeah. See, that's when you just lock yourself in the house. You put a fire on, and you just wait it out.
I know. We have to go to the grocery store, and he almost fell just leaving our place because it was so icy.
I remember Texas had that really bad snow, lockout a couple of years ago. I missed it by like 2 days. I was in Texas and I left to go back to LA, and then like 2 days later it happened. And my brother said that they got to the point they couldn't go to the grocery store because the roads were so bad. They were like, do not get on the roads unless you absolutely have to. So for like 3 days they were like, yeah, all we did was like eat peanut butter sandwiches because we'd eaten all our food. They're like, we ate everything. So for 3 days they were like, we didn't have power for 2 of those days, and for the 3 of them for the last one we were just eating sandwiches. So
wow, yeah,
that's a rough. Yeah, I was like, that's you don't have that with the heat. That doesn't happen. I don't have to worry about that. I'm not gonna get heated into my house. I'll just go jump in the pool and we're good. Like,
oh yeah. So what are you up to these days, man? Anything that you're working on that you could share with us and our viewers?
So I'm I just relocated, and it's been I'm just kind of getting settled in, so it's been a good time. Right now with everything, it's really a slow time for Hollywood. The writer's strike just started last month, and I was in LA for the last one when it was 15 years ago, 2007, something like that. Wow. And I was in LA for that one when I was a kid, and nothing happened. It was a complete ghost town for 4 months. And we're doing another one. And on top of that, the SAG, the actors union, is actually striking in support of the writers. So, wow. Which has never happened ever. Both of them at the same time has never happened. I know a lot of people that are leaving LA, and they're like, we're just leaving. It's going to be months, so we're just going to go enjoy the summer somewhere else. And that's kind of the attitude. So my thing is, I'm in my new city, and I'm looking to, I'm shaking hands, meeting all the locals that I need to be meeting here, and doing my network, doing my good work, because it's like there's no projects happening right now unless you're making them yourself, which I'm not opposed to, but it's when you're in a new place, I don't really know many people yet, still working on all that. So hopefully I have something soon, and hopefully this strike ends, because I know with that they're ending a lot of the old pandemic protocols that cost a lot of money for production. So hopefully when this is all set, they can get a deal cut with all the writers and everything, and we can get projects going and get some good films back in the theaters, because theaters are coming back and I miss being in them. So
see, when COVID first hit, I was telling Fabi, I was like, man, you know what, we can't go to theaters, but I wonder if drive-in movie theaters are.
I was so shocked that didn't blow up over that, because I thought that when we were in the pandemic, I was like, why are people not just setting up? Like, if I owned like just a decent piece of land anywhere near town, I'd go rent out a ginormous screen and say, hey, $5, come park your car, BYOB. I bet you would have made so much money. I was thinking that the whole pandemic. Why are there not more drive-ins popping up? Because drive-ins are so much fun just in general. But especially like when you're like, there's actually like a need for them now.
Exactly.
I was bummed that I was like, this is it. They're coming back. Yes. It's going to be a thing to go to the drive-in on Friday nights. Because I did that as a lot as a kid. I saw tons of movies as a kid, at the drive-in. You go, you park your car, you set the radio. It's, it's old school stuff. And I love it. That's one of the nostalgic, going to the movies feeling that I think everybody loves.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I took Fabi and I was like, listen, we're going to a drive-in movie. It's 2 movies for the price of 1. You could bring your own snacks, or you know what? Let's go for your first experience. Let's go hit up the snack bar. I mean, we had to wear masks and give space, but I mean, it's just the experience, right? Like I miss that.
Yeah, having that. Yeah, there's just something about it when you have that tub of popcorn and you get there, even if it's in your car, it's a drive-in, and it's just, I don't know. There's like a comfortability to it because it's like you're in your own car. You don't have, there's nobody sitting right next to you. Like, you don't have to worry about any of that. You're just with your own group. Like, there's something about it.
All right. So we, with the cars, they have like an accessory mode. And for some reason, my car being newer or whatever, it just did not take. And so my car ended up dying. And we ended up needing to get a jump from somebody there. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
just from leaving the radio on, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, the experience was like a surround sound, whole 360 sound, which was amazing. But maybe I just try to integrate new technology opposed to, because you can't put those speakers in the window no more.
Right.
So I was like, man, maybe next time we just take fold up chairs and just bring a boombox.
I've done it that way too. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we ended up taking Fabby's car, and it worked. I mean, we were able to just like watch Fast and the Furious at that time, and we bought some Taco Bell and just hung out and watched movies, man.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great night. It's simple, but it's great. I love that. I love nights like that.
Oh yeah, it was wonderful. So before acting, were there any skills or talents, like anything that you were like truly into before you said, hey, that's where it's at?
Well, so for me, it's a little different because I've been doing this since I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always had this wild, like, bubbly personality. And I was the kid that, like, I would imitate Shrek and Donkey on the TV when that's on. And, or if I was at a game, I'd get up on the table and start singing the Star Spangled Banner. Just, I don't know why. I guess people tell me I did that when I was a child. I don't know. I don't remember doing any of that, but and so I guess I was always like this performer. I was always this, hey, like, I want to make you laugh. I want everybody to have a good time. Kind of, I guess that's just in my coding, or whatever. And so when I was about 7, my parents took me to a talent, like a pro scout type thing, which they say, like, don't do. They're like, they're total scams. Don't do them. And, this is 2006, 2005. We don't know that. We're in the middle of nowhere in Texas. We don't know anything.
Yeah.
And so my parents took me to it kind of just like on a whim. And I ended up meeting an acting coach out of Dallas, or he lives in LA, but he was in Dallas for this. And he said, he told my parents, I think your son's actually pretty talented. I had to perform like a monologue and like all this other stuff. It felt like a talent like a massive talent show is what it felt like. You had dancers, you had singers, you had actors, and everything in between. And so I met this coach, and he was like, I think Jay's actually he could be solid at this, and I think he needs to come work with me in Los Angeles, and I'll see what we can do. And so kind of just like off of just hopes and dreams, me and my mom and my little brother stayed home, and me and my dad packed up the car and we drove out to Los Angeles. And I started getting trained by that coach. He helped me get an agent, a manager, all that kind of stuff. And then I started going on auditions. And that was, like I said, that was 2006, 2005, 2007, somewhere around that range. And it's kind of all I know, and it's just, I've been doing it so long. I really do enjoy it. There's just something about it, just not even like, don't get me wrong, doing the blockbusters and the big movies is fun, but just perform. I would almost rather have a low budget project where I get to play this crazy fun character rather than just being the best friend to the main good looking lead, who's casual, is funny every once in a while in this major film. You know what I mean? Because I like the performing and I like the getting into the character. My mom used to make me costumes out of aluminum foil, like that. You know what I mean? Like I was always in like I want to be in character. Halloween was my favorite time of the year, So it's like I was born for it. And so I've never, my dad's a football coach, and for a lot of my life, my childhood, that's what I said I wanted to do, because I was like, I want to be like my father, and I want to do, now I'm an adult, and I'm like, you couldn't pay me enough to deal with high school children for a year round. You couldn't do it. I wouldn't. So, so this is what I'm doing, and I like I said, I really enjoy it, and it makes me happy when I'm doing it. So.
Definitely, you gotta enjoy what you do, right?
Absolutely, it's pretty cool. And like I always tell people, they're always like, I could never do that. I couldn't act. I'm like, I think you could, because I think it's a lot simpler than most people. Granted, there is a lot to it, but like I tell people, at the end of the day, you remember when you were a little kid and you would say, "Hey, let's play pretend this." Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I do that, but as an adult, like, you know what I mean? Like that's what it is essentially. Is you're like, okay, we're gonna let's pretend this, and that's what it is. And so it's really fun. You kind of get to always have that inner child, kind of always getting to explore and create. So that's I love that.
Gotcha. So I do want to say, I know Fabi doesn't really say too much right now, but she's filling out the conversation. So I'm not hogging it all, I promise.
No, I'm good. Let him fly. I'm here.
We're working on her shyness. I told her all the time that, you know what, you are photogenic. You are, you just got to be open, People aren't going to judge you, especially when it comes to this,
Right.
Like, we're just having a good time and
absolutely,
asking questions and things. Yeah. So
trust me, you're not gonna ask me anything that's more stupid than what I've ever been. I promise you, I've been asked the dumbest questions you can possibly imagine. I promise. You're not gonna say anything that I'm gonna be like, "Are you serious?" No, it's not good. I'm telling you, trust me, I've been asked all kinds of the dumbest stuff you can imagine. So don't even worry.
So I mean, it wasn't to put her on like the spot. I just wanted to clear it up, like, because our episodes from the last season, it was more so me opposed to her, and so this season I'm trying to get her a little bit more involved.
You'll get there.
She will. So I want to talk about your Instagram, man. I know you post like motivational things. I've seen, your sports pictures, things like that. I think it's wonderful, with all the motivational things that you post, especially with, the times that we're having. Things seem to be getting pretty tough right now, for a lot of people. And like you say, the writer strike in LA, it's it fits, with all of that. And right now I'm dealing with some things at work where, I mean, we work in the medical field, man. You don't want to hear about layoffs, right? So that's potentially, something. But where did the inspiration and things like that come from with the motivational posting?
Well, like I had mentioned, my dad's a coach, so I grew up always hearing the halftime speeches, the pregame speech, all that kind of stuff. I just grew up around that, and it really kind of was like a spur of the, like, kind of just spontaneous thing. I literally one day was, morning groggingly, scrolling through Instagram. You know how it, when it's first thing, and I'd scrolled by and it was like Gary, I don't know if you'll know. He was like, and he's like, find something, and you, you'd be surprised. People are more interested about your life than you think they are. Like, just start talking about what you know. And I was like, I need to be posting more, because I'm just not I'm one of those like millennials that just didn't really catch on to social media. I'm just not like, I remember being like 16 and everybody was like on Twitter and Instagram, and I was like, I don't have any of that. I don't have any of that. Like, my phone is for texting and phone calls. I'm like an old man. So I've gotten better at it. Now I'm like, of course now I'm addicted. All day I'm scrolling, right? But I still don't post that much. And so I was like, I need to post more. And I was like, what's something I know? Like, what's stuff I know? And I was like, well, I know tons of stories, and I know quotes, and it was kind of just like I'm going to do it. I'm going to shoot one. And I was like, I'm going to post it. 5 people will probably watch it, and that'll be the end of it, and I posted my very first one, like, back in 2017. Yeah. And this was back when, like, you had to do a minute, and like Instagram would cut you off in a minute. And there was not like all the extra, like, you get 2 minutes. No. And I didn't know that. So like it cut off in the middle. Like, it was horrible. Like, and it was so bad. And, but people were actually like, really, like, they liked it. Like, I got very, very positive feedback from people in general, people I know, people I didn't know, people that didn't even know I was an actor. They're just like, hey man, I came across your page, saw this video, this is great, and then I found out you're this guy, and that's even crazier. Like, so I just started doing it because people, people had a really good positive feedback from it, and people seem to, I get messages and people would say, hey man, I really appreciate this, I'm going through some stuff right now and this is kind of getting me through it. I really, and it's kind of cool. It's almost like that feeling I get when I act and I'm making people laugh and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I took a minute out of my day and told a story, and if that helps somebody get through a really tough day, then I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it for views. I don't, I haven't even posted one in a hot minute. Just had a lot, had a lot going on, and I've been called out a couple of times saying, hey man, we need those back. We miss those. And so I'm working to get better at doing them. But, and then I kept doing them for a long time, and people, like I said, it just warmed my heart when people would tell me, hey man, like I'm going through some really rough, like some people would say like some stuff they were going through, and they were like, and I was just like my video helped you through that? Like that? Like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're welcome. Sure. Yeah. And so I think that's cool. And I get, it's, a lot of times the advice I'm giving is like for me, like I'm saying something to go, for whatever I'm going through. And it's just kind of like something to tell myself. And so, but we're all in the same boat. We're all mostly going through the same kind of stuff. So if I'm struggling with it, chances are there's quite a few others that are. So sure. That's where it came from. And like I said, I need to get back into it because I've had a few people say, hey man, I miss those and I need those. And I'm like, it's people like that I'm failing when I slack off and don't do it. So,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and even behind your celebrity status and things like that, you are a human being. And that's what we stress to our guests all the time. Like, we're not just hitting you up because you have a celebrity status. Like, we want to get to know you as well. And
right.
One of the guys that we're working on getting on our show for season 2, we kept in touch with him trying to get that thing going. And he's like, okay, I'm ready. Thursday comes around. I'm sorry, man. I'm dealing with like a family thing. So I just recently hit him up and I was like, hey man, just want to check in on you. This isn't about the podcast. This is about me checking on you as a human being. And he was like, you don't understand how much I wanted to hear that, from anybody, or I needed to hear that. So I'm like, cool. That's awesome.
You'd be surprised. Like, I don't know if it's my mom or my grandmother or my dad. Somebody always used to tell me something as small as a smile might make somebody's day like flip.
For sure.
So it's like, just kind of have that attitude, because like you never know what somebody's going through. Like, and I know it's like cliche and everybody says it, like be nice, right? But like, you know what I mean?
People aren't really nice.
Yeah.
Like, even at the grocery store, like
yeah,
saying hi to somebody, or like like you see people's like face like will light up or something.
Lights up. Yeah. Like and just a simple hi. Like
because people are nowadays people are so rude and like they'll flip you. I mean, like the other day, I was driving in the morning to work. A lady flipped me off because I was like behind her. I was like, it's literally 6 in the morning.
Yeah,
and you have that kind of energy.
Yeah, what has already happened to you? Like, what could have possibly
exactly?
Like,
she just woke up and chose violence.
Yeah,
like I'm just trying to go to work. I'm not even bothered. Like, I literally just laugh because I'm like, I'm not even gonna get bothered by it because it's so early in the morning. I'm just trying to go to work.
It's so pointless too. Yeah, and it's like you'll never see her ever again. Like,
right.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's like it's not hard to choose to just smile. Like, I get it. Like, there's times that I don't want to smile.
Yeah.
Right. We all have those days, but like, just somebody somewhere has probably got it worse. So just give them a smile. You never know. You never know. That might end up saving somebody's life. You don't know. I mean, you never know. Like, so it's a wild world out there. People got a lot going on upstairs.
Yeah,
definitely. So, I mean, going back to your Instagram, I seen your posts and like some baseball jerseys and things like that. So, like, growing up, obviously, your dad had, he's the football guy. And in Texas, sports are pretty big and whatnot. Did your dad have you waking up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to go?
Not 3 or 4, but 5 or 6.
Okay.
5. So I grew up I always loved going to summer workouts with my dad and 2-a-days. When the season was starting, I always loved it. I loved hanging out in the locker rooms, talking with the guys. And then when I was in high school, it was, my dad was my coach, and it was a great time. But it's definitely I definitely was raised in the athlete household, so I'm very punctual. I'm very like, if we have a goal, we have to hit it. Like, I'm programmed that way. So it's definitely my dad is like, he's my hero, and like, I always strive to be half of what he is, but like, we're not friends. He's my dad, and so he's just like, this is it. Go. We have this to work. You have this. We got to do this. We got to get this done. And it's just like, I drank. Me and my dad drank together for the first time when I was 24.
Oh man!
I was for the first, and it was like my stepmom had to convince both of us to have a drink. She was like, "Would y'all just drink?" Like, we don't. So we have that very like father son, like clear cut, like So growing up like that was definitely it definitely helps though, because I always, like I said, I always like being the first guy there, first guy on set, first guy to rehearsals. It just sets a tone, and it lets you know the standards that you expect from the people that are around you. And
sure.
I like to set that tone, and that comes from being in an athlete's household. So that's So I'm happy for it, but it was tough for sure.
Definitely. What are some of your favorite sports teams? For me, like football, Seahawks. I have a love for Miami Dolphins. When it comes to baseball, Mariners, Red Sox, basketball. We don't have our Sonics no more, and I'll refuse to root for OKC. But I'm a Celtics
y'all
fan.
need a new team. Y'all need a new team up there.
Big time. I mean, we just got that new arena. So if you ever are in town and get a chance to go catch a concert or, any hockey games, man, those are so much fun.
I need to go to a hockey. I've never been, because we don't do that in Texas. It's football.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'll be honest, I don't even know the rules of hockey.
I don't either.
Like I am fascinated by this. I have much respect for it, because to be able to move like those guys are moving on blades is nuts. Those guys are just as agile as people on a field, but they're doing it on a piece of metal that thin. It's wild.
See, I've been to like UFC like events.
That's cool.
And I've seen fights, but like when I went to a hockey match, like my first ever. Again, I don't know the rules or anything. Fabi doesn't either. But my friend, he had a friend that just gave us 2 tickets in the first season. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go. And man, there was a hockey fight right in front of us, right on the ice.
That's what
I was like, that was nice. I was like, yeah, I could get used to this.
Yeah, that would be the best. That's what I want. That's why I'm like, I have to go see a game.
Without a doubt. But yeah, what are some of your favorite teams?
So it's so weird. So, as far as NFL, I'm more of I like watching the guys that I watched in college. I'm a big college. I just think college football, just college sports in general is just better. I think, and I hope it stays that way with, all the new NIL stuff, now the guys are, which I think is good. I think the athletes that are generating all this money for these universities, they should get something, but the money they're making now is wild. And so I'm hoping that competitive edge stays there. Because that's what I always was best. My dad went to Baylor. My mom went to Texas A&M. So I like, so Baylor's kind of a team. We'll go catch the games during the season and tailgate and all that kind of stuff here and there. I am a big up north. I love Oregon. I think Oregon's. I've always liked them. I think I used to like them back in the day because their uniforms were really cool, and they were like the first ones to do that. Nobody was really doing that back then. Now everybody does it, but like, I thought they were really cool. Now I just enjoy watching them play. I think they're fun to watch, just in general. But basketball, I like the Mavs. I love Luka. I think he's so much fun to watch play. And I'm a big, my dad. So my dad's, he's football, but he also does basketball. So basketball is like also very big in our house. Like my brother was like 4 years all-state guard, like in school. So it's like we grew up like, all sports. This is what we grew up with. And so as far as baseball, again, like I grew up going to Ranger games, even though they're really hard to root for. They're not as good anymore. And, they lost that World Series back in, 10 or 09 or whatever, 11, whatever that was. And they've never been the same since they fell off that.
Yep.
And, but I still enjoy, they have a new stadium that I've never, this is like their second year, first year playing in it, second year, I think. And it seems really cool, but I've never been to it, and I want to go to it. So those are kind of my teams.
Okay.
Yeah. Hockey, I guess the Stars. That's what we're gonna say. I don't know. I don't know hockey. So.
I got Fabian to like watching college football. My grandma and I, we always catch the Huskies. Huskies, man. That's our team.
Absolutely.
I like USC. I'm not much of a fan just anymore because I really love the Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Lindale White days. But
absolutely.
UW is and that's my team. When we went to go against Alabama in the playoffs, I thought we had so much hope, man. And then the score just got away from us a little bit.
They're a different breed down there in Alabama. They're just the things that they're put through by Coach Saban, and it's funny, you hear all those players talk about it. They go to the NFL and they say, well, what are the practices like? They're like, well, they don't try to kill us here. They're like, they try to kill you down in Alabama, and whoever survives is going to be playing. That's how it is. In the NFL, they're like, no, we'll keep you safe. We want you to work hard, but we'll keep you safe. Alabama, they're like, whoever survives is playing. So
no, it's a tough program, and I actually sat Fabi down during the college, championship games, and I'm like, I don't like Bryce Young, man. I don't like Bryce Young, and we'll see how he fares in the NFL. We're actually going to go we're going to go to the game with my best friend Sam. He's got season tickets. He was like, hey, week 3, you guys got to come with us, but we're going to go see that game. But yeah, I mean, I sat her down and I was just like, listen, Bryce Young can't play under pressure, and lo and behold, like, man, when the pressure kept coming, it was game over. And we watched that game this year with Georgia and TCU, and she was just like,
Georgia is just
they're a different breed.
They're running it right now.
Yes, they are.
It's them and Alabama and everybody else.
Yes,
it's them, Alabama, and everybody else. There's nobody else that's in that. Ohio State's not. None of them. It's Alabama, Georgia, and then whoever else y'all want to let in at this point, let them in. Because it doesn't matter who you put in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we did some just casual talk, but now I kind of want to get into some of your roles.
Let's do it.
I mean, we want to give everybody a chance to get to know you and also, us. But your first role was actually in Friday Night Lights, right?
So my first role was How I Met Your Mother. That was like
How I Met Your Mother. Okay.
Yeah. It was like a one episode in season 1, episode 2.
Gotcha.
Season 1, episode 2 of How I Met Your Mother. That was like when I said I met that coach in LA or in Dallas, and he shipped me out to LA. That was like me and my dad were in LA for like 3-4 months.
Okay.
I just started going on auditions, and after 3 or 4 months of auditions almost every day, meeting with people, that was the only thing I booked was that episode of How I Met Your Mother. It was all that work just for that.
Gotcha.
One day worth of work. But Friday Night Lights was like my first bigger role, really starting to kind of make a name for myself.
Yeah.
It was Friday Night Lights, and that would have been 2007. Yeah, late 2007, I think, is when that would have been, because I did Blindside middle 2008.
Okay.
And that was I did Friday Night Lights, Blindside, or Friday Night Lights, Hancock, and Blindside within 2 years of each other, all 3 of them within 2 years.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did Friday Night Lights, and that was in the fall of 2007.
Okay.
And then the summer of 2008, I auditioned because Pete Berg directed me in Friday Night Lights, and he's the guy that was directing Hancock, and so that's how I got that audition. And which, by the way, is my Hancock audition is the weirdest audition I've ever had to do, and I will always take pride in that. Because Pete Berg, phenomenal director. I would work with him every day. As an actor, he's so much fun because he knows what he wants and he has a vision of the way he wants things to look. But at the same time, he's like, listen, you're the one on screen, so you do with it what you want. And if I don't like it, I'll tell you I don't like it. And that's how he is.
That's awesome.
And so I love, and I like that. I know there's a lot of directors out there that they're like, no, these are my words. You say them my way, and this is how we're doing it. Which I totally get it. It's your thing. But, as an actor, it feels good to kind of be able to like get let off the chain, let off the leash a little bit and kind of let you free roam. Because I feel like a lot of really pretty, beautiful, natural moments happen with that. But when I auditioned for Hancock, I walk in and I had I had the scene prepared that I had to prepare and everything, and I'm ready to do it. Like I've done it 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Yeah, you might as well throw that script away. We don't need that today." And I immediately was like, "Oh no, what do I do?" Immediately, I was like, "Okay." And he was just like, "I'm a superhero. Make me like you. Go." That's it. That's all he said. And so I was just like, don't you want to like inspire the next, the youth of America and make them want to be? And he's like, and he's just like throwing like, no, I don't care, whatever, just trying to get, throw me off. And we sat there for 30 minutes doing it, like for 30 minutes, just back and forth, just me and him having this bogus conversation that he's a superhero and I'm trying to convince him that he should be nice. And that was the whole thing. And then I got like 2-3 weeks later, I was back in Texas and I got a call and they were like, "Hey, you're leaving in 2 weeks. You're going to be in LA for 3.5 months for, Hancock." And that was summer of 2008. And then I booked Blindside the spring of 2009. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, it kept you super busy.
Yeah, it was a wild, when you're in it, you don't really know. Cause it's kind of one of those things. You wake up, you go to one audition. Okay. Didn't get it. A few days later, have another audition. Didn't get it. And it's so on. You do that 200 times. You get to the point where you're like, I'm just doing these auditions at this point, just as practice, because you're not booking anything, because you're getting so many of them. And then finally you book one and you're just like, what? And then, in my case, I was very fortunate, very, very blessed that, like I said, within a year and a half, 2 years, I booked, 2 movies, a show, got a recurring star on a recurring guest star on a major TV show. Like I was very lucky because it does not happen like that. People go like, I don't remember who it was. I think it was like Ryan Gosling or somebody said that it takes you about 800 to 1,000 auditions before you catch your break.
That's crazy.
I'd be willing to bet that's probably accurate. Like that's probably close. Because I remember I'd go to multiple auditions in a day.
Yeah. We'd
have like 2 or 3. We'd be like, okay, we have one at 2:00, one at 5:00, and one at 7:00. Like you have to get there to all 3. Now everything's online, so it's a whole lot different. But it's a wild time. It's wild. And so
I just had Lombardo Boyar on. I'm not sure if you know who that is.
Not sure.
He played in Coco as Gustavo, mariachi guy.
Yeah.
He played in Big Ass Spiders. He also played Lars in Rocket Power.
Oh, that's
if you remember
awesome.
that.
Yeah, I remember Rocket Power.
Well, he was telling me, he was like, do you know how many, like the percent of people that are still acting after, getting like, roles and stuff like that? And I was like 65%. And he was like 1%. That's true, huh?
Crazy.
It is. That was the only thing. See, so like my whole thing is like I disappeared because, like I told y'all, I did all this within 2 years.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, these 2 years, I was 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old. Like these are. Yeah. I'm a kid.
Yeah.
I'm in junior high, and not even high school yet, and I'm missing 4 months of school here, 3 months of school here, 2 weeks of school here, a week of school here. Like I'm not even going to school. I have friends that I don't see. I'm never around my family. I'm missing countless birthdays and all of this kind of, I'm just doing all that. I'm being an adult. I'm missing all this stuff for work. You know what I mean? It's like, sorry, I got things to do. And so, being a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old living that kind of life is very strange. And so it's like, I was like, I don't want to do this right now. I was like, like everybody tells you like, you only get to be a kid once. And I'm like, okay, well then let me do it.
Yeah.
Then let me do that because I'm going to be, I was like, one day I'll be 18 and I can pick this back up and do it. Granted, I was very, naive to think that the world would wait on me, for, to do so because, when as you can imagine, when I did Blindside, there were a couple calls that I got that were like, you don't even have to audition for this. This is your role if you want it. Like, I had gotten to that point. Like, these are big movies, and they're just offering them to you. And I was like, I don't. But they were like, but you have to be. You're gonna leave. You're gonna be in Nebraska for 3 months. And I'm like, I just got home. I just got home. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of. It's a very interesting situation to be put in when you're 13 years old, and they're like, you know, to a lot of people, it's an obvious choice because they're like, okay, your two options are you can go out and you can shoot these movies and you can miss another year of school, you know, which was another year away from your friends, another year away from your family, which is the way I was looking at it. Or the other option is, or you can tell them no and you can go to school, you can play sports, you can do all that stuff. My parents were very kind and just saying, hey, like, it's your life. We're going to let you make your decision. It's up to you. Like, we're not going to force, because that was the cool thing. My parents never forced me to do anything I didn't want to do. If at any time I said, hey, I want to put this up and I don't ever want to do it again, they were like, okay, do it. That's up to you. That is completely up to you. It's your decision. And that was always very cool. And I was, you know, I always liked it. And I was always really lucky for that because I had friends that were not so lucky. And I'll just say that, you know, and so I made the decision. I wanted to be in school. I wanted to have friends. I wanted to get a girlfriend. I wanted to play sports. I wanted to do all those things that you start doing when you're 13, 14, years old. And it was like, I can sit in conference tables and get on flights and do all that stuff later as an adult, but I'm never going to be 14 again, ever, and it's just one of those things of life isn't fair. Cause it's like, of course, it's a first world problem to have. Oh, do I want to stay in school or do I want to go make movies? It's a very first world problem. Woe is me type thing. But it's just a weird situation to be put in. That what I didn't realize is that, like, the world is not as kind as I believed it to be when I was 14, because I was told by everybody in Hollywood, like all my team, my managers, my agents, and all that stuff, hey, you're a kid. You only get one chance to be a kid. You make your decision. Whatever you think's going to make you happy is what I was told. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Then this is what I want to do. This is the decision I make. I didn't realize that, once you make that decision, they go, okay, well, he doesn't take this seriously, so let's find the next kid that looks just like him who does. And that's how they do it. And they're just like, next. And whoever comes in next, they're like, if he doesn't want to do it, he will. And, it's that it is what it is. And it was impossible for me as a 14-year-old to understand that's just how it works. I don't know how to work. You don't know, but no 14-year-old knows how anything works, much less this, this circus out here, Yeah. And so, when you're told by all the adults that, hey, don't worry, life, this will be right here for you when you turn 18. This will be right here where you, right where you left off. And then, the biggest thing I tell this, I won't mention my, any names or agencies or anything, but it was a cool thing. Back in the day when everybody had iPod touches, iPhones weren't big yet. Yeah. Everybody had to use. You had to have like every year. Every year on my birthday, they would send me a birthday card. Everybody in the agency would sign it, and they'd send me a little $25 iTunes gift card. Right? Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Just a $25 gift card. Just like a, hey, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. And after I made the decision to, hey, I want to kind of chill out for a bit, I never got so much as a phone call, happy birthday. Never again. They never sent me another card, never an email saying happy birthday, nothing like that. They were just like, done. That's it.
Wow, that's cruel.
And then it's crazy how people move on like so quick. Okay, on to the next one, like business.
That's how it is. And that's one of the cruel realities that people have to face when they go to Hollywood is like, and it's so, as I brought him up earlier, I said Ryan Gosling, I've heard him talk about it, and he literally describes it. He's like, the way audition, like you walk into a room and you've been working on this audition all week. This is all you've done all week is work on these lines, get it polished, get it how you want it to be. You walk into a room of 15 guys that look exactly like you. They're all 10 of them probably are about the same as far as how good it is. Their audition's going to be, 3 of them are going to be really freaking good. One of them's going to blow it. So, you know what I mean? It's like you walk in and you realize it's like all these people, it's like a bunch of just piranhas sitting right here and they're waiting for somebody to just drop the steak in the middle. and that's what it is. And so it's like, if they're, you know, that's how they look at it. They're like, if you're not going to go in there and jump in after it, we'll find somebody that will, and we just won't call you, you know, anymore. And that's how they are. And you know, it was one of the toughest lessons I ever had to learn, and it's especially having to learn it at 14 years old. You know, especially when those are the same people that were telling me, do whatever you want to do because it's your life and we want you to be happy. You know, and you learn real quick, well, they want that until you're not making them money. Then they're not happy with you. So, you know, and I was pretty pissed because I went in a few years, you know, now I'm no longer with that team. But I didn't separate from them until after my first full year of being in LA as an adult. Because, you know, I did another movie when I was 16. It was called Brave Talent, and it was with Josh Duhamel, Laura Dern, and that I did that movie when I was 16. So this is like 3 years after that, and like I kind of thought after that they would be like back to, okay, so he is trying to get back into it. He's doing it. You know, he's kind of doing what he wanted to do and what we wanted him to do. But it just, I think at that point they'd already moved on and they were already over it. And, you know, it's just, that's how the business is. It's like I said, it's one of those things that, you know, you start looking into it. You start seeing how a lot of those child stars ended up crazy because you're like, you know, you don't make any decisions. Like they're like, you go here, you say this, you go here, you smile. That's it. Like, that's your job. And then one day you turn 18 and they're like, all right, now you figure it out. And it's like, okay, like I've not made a decision for myself my entire, like, in my career. I've never made my own decision, you know. And so, like, that's why a lot of them go off the rails, is because they don't know how to handle all the freedom and all the responsibility that kind. Like, it's hard. Like, it's just adulting in general is hard. And then you add, you know what I mean? And then, like, you add that you're trying to do this. And like you said, like, there's countless actors that live in LA that you're like, oh my gosh, like, I haven't seen you on anything in a minute, but you were the guy. Like, that happens so many times. Like, the amount of people that you meet in Hollywood that are like, haven't worked in 10, 15 years, but they're still in the end. Like, it's because, like, if you're hot, they'll use you. If you're not, they won't. But once you're hot, you're good. But you got it. Like, you know, my dad always used to say, you got to strike while the iron's hot. And that's true, because I didn't realize, like, how quickly you cool off in LA. Like, within months, you'll cool off and they'll call somebody else. Yeah. So it is a nonstop. Like, that's why you see a lot of those stars that you see and you're like, dude, why are you in every movie? It's like, because you have to be. You have to say yes. Because you say, yeah, literally. But now he's to the point where he's like, okay, like, now what, you know what I mean? Like, but like, you have to, because unless you're a DiCaprio who can take a role every 7 years, 8 years, you know what I mean? Like, unless you're like that, you have to take whatever role comes your way, because you have no idea when the next one's coming. And that was what that, you know, that was one of those things. That's just one of those things, is like, you don't know that. You can't, I couldn't possibly realize that at 14. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's a weird decision, you know, it's a weird why that I came to, and, you know, decision wise that I had to make. And do I regret stepping away and kind of letting, no. And I try not to, you know, it's hard to not battle with the, well, what would have happened if I had just said, screw school, screw being a kid, I'm going all in. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know what would have happened. I try not to lose sleep over that, you know what I mean? Because, you know, because there's no point, like you were saying with that lady that flipped you off in traffic. Yeah. It's not going to happen. So don't, you know, I'm not going to make that decision. You're never going to get to the point to make that decision again. So you might as well not try to lose, you know, don't lose sleep over it. And so that's kind of
happen for a reason. So you
exactly
that way that, you know, if I didn't continue to act because I didn't want to, then like, hey, like, something else big is going to happen to you eventually, and it's going to be your time. Yeah. Back then, it wasn't your time because you wanted to be a child, right?
Yeah. I wanted to take it. Yeah. And so, you know, you know, now, but, you know, now you're to the point with, like, you know, technology and everything. You just, there's more opportunity now than ever, because of just, I have so many, like, all the streaming platforms, and then, you know, all the channels that are still on TV, you know, that's, you know, now, you know, YouTube makes movies. Like, there's more opportunity now, but the problem is it's more saturated than ever. So it's still, even though there's a ton more jobs, there's so many more applicants to those jobs. And like I said, that's one of the big things of Hollywood is that you get there and you think, your whole life you've been told how good you are, and then you walk into a room and it's a bunch of guys equally as good as you, and they look exactly like you, and you have to find something to stick out, and that's where that's where all the creativity comes in. But it's a jungle, and I would never, if I ever have kids, I'm never letting them get in this business ever. I will never ever let my children get in this business because it's just not. I love it, and like don't get me. I as much as I bash it, like it's just because they expect so much from you, but the first time you tell them no, they're out, they're gone, and so it's like that's really hard to deal with, especially as a kid when you're trying to make friends and you think everybody that's nice to you is your friend, and all that. You know what I mean? And it's a lot to put on kids, and yeah, and it's just I would never want to put my kid through that. It's just I've been very blessed for the opportunities that I've had, and I wouldn't take back anything I've done. But as far as like the mental hoops and the stuff you got to go through and the stuff you hear people say about you, oh my, like you gotta be tough to be in Hollywood. Like it's rough. I had a casting director when I was 7 years old. A casting director from a children's network. That's what I won't say who they were, but they run kids TV shows and movies, and they run the world right now. A casting director told my manager, don't ever send that kid back in my office. He's boring and he has the personality of a 70-year-old and he'll never work here.
Wow, that's brutal.
I was 7 years old, and I walked in and they were like, we just want to do like an interview. We want to ask you, I was a kid, I'm 7. They're like, what do you like to do? What games do you play? Like stuff like, kid stuff. And I was raised in Texas. I was raised to be very polite, very proper, sit up straight, say yes ma'am, no ma'am, eye contact, shake their hand, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
They don't want that. They want you coming in there bouncing off the walls like you just, were eating 30 pixie sticks. They want you going nuts when you walk in there. And so that's like, you're just a number. It's nuts. Yeah. But it's one of those things like, you deal with a lot of stuff like that, but there are great things about it too. Like, it is cool seeing yourself on TV. It is cool, when people send me pictures and like, hey, look what is on tonight. And it's like, I see you. And it's, there's, it's cool stuff. And, getting to do stuff like that, like it's all a blessing. It's everything's a balance. There's nothing is all good or all bad. Everything's balanced. And this is no different. So you get to do pretty cool stuff, but it's a roller coaster, and you have no idea what's coming next.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. It's a lot. A lot to think about for sure. Because that's like something Fabi had like interest in with many of our guests, because a lot of our previous guests were child stars. And some are making it, some are not. So
yeah.
Fortunately, but
some end up like working 9 to 5s, and they're like, we're just regular people now.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's so crazy.
The wild thing is like that's like very, especially in LA, it's very common. Like it's not like you have no idea. You might walk into an In-N-Out Burger and see a guy that was on a show for a season and a half, and now he's back there slinging burger. Like it literally happens like that, because you never, like I said, you have to take the roles you get because you never know when the next one's coming.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Everybody thinks you do one movie, you're set for the rest of your life. People would come up to me when I was like 15 being like, so how's it feel to be retired at 15? And I'm like, are you serious? See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not going to ask me any stupid questions, because I get questions like that. I would get questions like that. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, that's not even remotely how it works. Like, are you kidding? Like, it's so stupid. People they just think, oh, I did it. Like, no.
They get one
like that at all.
Millionaire.
Yeah, like, I wish it worked like that. Like, somewhere somebody Googled me one time, and they were like, said my net worth was like 3.5 million, and I was like, well, I don't know who stole that. I said, I don't know who stole my net worth, but they better bring that back to me.
So like one topic Fabi and I always love to hear about is like roles that you have auditioned for that you didn't get? Do you have any of those that you would like to share? Or in like, we'd like to hear like the what could have beens, and unfortunately it may not be as pleasant for you to talk about, but
no, I love it. It's all cool.
Okay.
It's all part of the journey. You know what I mean? I'm not ashamed or embarrassed of any of it. There are a few. So, just like in anything else, you have rivalries, right? And there was, I'm not going to mention any names because I'm not worried about them. But there's a couple of guys when I was coming up, especially when we were younger, and then you pretty much just to get in the room, all you had to do was be a good-looking kid. You know what I mean? Like there was a few guys growing up that if I didn't get the role, they got it. If they didn't get it, I got it. And there was quite a few. So I'll just say it because the biggest, so the movie that I turned down, that kind of sent me into the dark side, I guess you'd say, or for them, or the X list or whatever, was the movie Dolphin Tale.
Oh man. Okay.
So they offered that to me. It was right after Blindside. Like they offered it to me, but they were like, but this was, like I said, September or October of 2009. Like Blindside, I don't even know if it was out yet. Like I think it was like I just got that film. I don't remember. But they said the thing was, they were like, this is right at the beginning of the school year, and they were like, you have to leave in October to go start training in the water because you have to figure out the water training because you're going to be in the water with the dolphin all the time. And I was like, like I said, I literally just got home. And so I said no to that movie, but I didn't know that guy was next in line, because had I known he was next, I would have taken the roles for spite, just so he doesn't have it, because I wanted it.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those. So Dolphin Tale was a big one, and then my dad still, like, he kind of gets at me for that one because, that was a big deal. And then it had a sequel, and
yeah,
I don't know, but so there was that one. And then the movies, do y'all remember the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies?
Yes.
So it came down to me and the guy that got it twice for that film.
What?
So first it came down to me and the guy for the main character, for Greg, right? It came down to me and him. And I think he ultimately ended up getting it because he looked more like the mom than I did. Because once they get to the point where they're like down to like three actors, at that point they're going to be like, okay, who looks the most like the family? Who do we think that we can be around for 12, 13 hours a day? And who is going to, like that's kind of the, once you get to that point, they're starting to look at the minor details. So you might be the better actor, but they're going to give it to that kid because he looks more like the parents, or he is cheaper because he is not coming off a film and stuff like that. All different kinds of stuff like that. So it came down to me and him for that role. And then it came down to me and the guy that got it for, I can't remember the character's name. Heffley? No.
Greg Heffley was the main.
Heffley. What was the weird
Fregley?
Fregley, yes. It came down to me and that kid too. And I will happily say he could have that one because he was much freaking weirder than I was. Like I saw him on a podcast. I was scrolling through TikTok and he's on a podcast. He was on a podcast talking about, because he's also in Talladega Nights, which I also auditioned for. And he was like quoting the movie, and I was like, it came down to me and him. And I don't think he's acting anymore. He looked like he had like a beard, and he looked like he was a blue collar worker, like he worked at some factory or something. But
wow.
But just one of those. But like, there's that one. There was a TV show called Parenthood back in the day. And it came down to me. I actually got screen tested for that one, which is where they're like, this role is basically yours. And then I don't remember why I ended up not getting that one. But it was like, I was already like on studio, like at the studio on set. They were like taking my measurements for clothes. And then I don't remember why I didn't end up getting that one. But yeah, like I'm telling you, like it blows my mind because I've always heard people say it and I never believed them until I got older. In Hollywood, it could all disappear like that. You literally have no idea. That's why you see those people that's what pisses me off when I see like all those stars that are like mean and like rude. I'm like, you have no idea how lucky you are right now. Like, don't get me wrong. You worked really hard. and I'm not taking anything away from anybody. Like, you have to work your ass off to become, but those people that can sit for 20, now you're to the point where you cannot do it. Your kids, your grandkids will never do anything ever again because they don't have to. Like, my dad always told me, like, I don't care if you're having a bad day, take the freaking picture because those are the people that pay your bills. And that's what it is. And it's like, and I kind of live with that. Even if I'm having a rough day and somebody wants a picture, like, dude, this guy might never see me ever again. And I don't want the one interaction this person has with me to be a negative one. Because then, I'm not going to go see his next movie. And I'm going to tell my friends not to see his movie. And I'm going to tell my family not to go see his movie. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, you got 20 people that don't want to meet you or don't want to go support you because you had a bad day and wouldn't take a picture. It's like, is it, you know what I mean? So that's what really bothers me. So, but, so I say, like, you're so insanely lucky because it can all be taken from you like that. Because you're never, like, if you're, like, I know people that got on TV shows and were like, I made it. I'm on a TV show now. And they were cut within the first season. And they're right back to going to auditions. And you literally never know. And so, like, that's why they say, like, when that iron's hot, you got to strike because it will cool down quick.
Yeah. And
there are hungry people waiting in the wings to scoop it up if you drop it.
Definitely.
And that's one of those things I always tell people when they come out to, because, like, LA is I call it the great revolving door, because people come in, they're right out of college, right out of high school. I can't wait. I moved to Hollywood. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to this, that. I'm going to be famous. 6 months later, they're back home doing whatever they were doing before they came out. 6 months. Like, the average person, I think they did a thing, like, the average person comes out it was like, out of all the people, it's like thousands of people every year come out to LA, and it's like 70-something% of them are gone within the first 6 months and they go back home.
That's insane.
Because it's like the business, like, especially for, like, girls, because, like, I've had horrible things said to me, but girls get really bad things said to them. Like, I had a friend of mine, and she got out to LA, and she was super nice, this very attractive, like, very good looking girl, and she was going out for modeling and acting, and she goes to this modeling agency, and they're like, yeah, until you lose 20 more pounds, we can't talk to you.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
Like, 22 years old. It's like,
wow,
she's good. Like, that's an attract. Like, I get it. She's not like she's not a stick, but, like, that is an attractive. Like, she's like, you know what I mean? And, like, they say stuff like that all the time. Like, it's girls have it way worse because, like, a lot of, now it's different because, they write a lot of roles for like leading roles for girls and women and stuff like that, which is great. But, like, back in the day, they were like, we just need a girl that's blonde, that looks like somebody wants to, get in bed with her, and just give her a couple of lines and then we'll be good. And so they find 10 women that look remotely identical and they'd be like, her. Okay. And that's it. And that's how they pick, and now they're actually like, okay, we're looking for depth. Like, we want you to act. We want you to, but, because I had many friends that they were like growing up, they were like, every 3 auditions I go to, they ask if I'm comfortable getting naked. Like, and it's just stuff like that. Like, it's just like, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that part of it.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of those I think that leave are girls because they get out there and it's rough to them. But like I said, the great revolving door, they'll come out there 6 months to a year later, they're gone. And they're right back to doing whatever they were doing before they came out. And, just surviving in LA is great. It's like, it's so expensive and it's getting, like, more dangerous by the day. It's a scary place, but it's still a lot can happen. You can still make anything happen. You can make yourself be anything you want out there. And that's the cool thing about it, is as scary and as, dog eat dog that it is out there, you can go out there being nobody from nowhere, and somehow by meeting the right people and walking into the right buildings, you end up being a star. And it doesn't happen for everyone. And some people get it, and they can only keep it on fire for a little bit, and it goes out and it never comes back on. And some people are the eternal flame. You know what I mean? It's just, it's all part of that ride, and you never know what's going to happen. You just got to take it on one audition at a time, and you never know, because, like, the crazy thing is, like, I've had many auditions that I thought I blew it. I was like, or I bombed, and they were like, I ended up booking them. And because you never know. It's your life could change like that, for good or for bad. And it's so wild. Like, I did Blindside. I auditioned for it on a Tuesday, booked it on a Thursday, flew to Atlanta on Sunday, and I was gone for 3.5 months.
Wow.
So it happens in the blink of an eye. You just got to stick with it. You can't look around. That's the big thing. You can't look around and what is she doing? What is he doing? Oh, he's doing this. He's successful at this. Because it's like everybody's on their own journey and nobody's story is the same.
Yep.
And it's really hard now with social media, but like, and I catch myself doing it all the time. And I'm like reminding myself, like, you're on your own race. You're in your own clock. You know, don't compare yourself to them because they're not you and you're not them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's a lot of craziness.
Wild stuff.
Yeah. So I know we've kind of really hit our time. Are you done for the day, or you want to chat a little Blindside? I mean,
we can. If y'all have any questions, yeah, I'll answer. I can sit. I can hang for another 20 minutes, about 15.
Perfect.
20.
We'll do that. Yeah.
Perfect.
So
yeah,
perfect. So you know, Blindside. A lot of people know you from that. How did you land that role? Like what solidified that? Because I know you came from, like you said, Friday Night Lights with you know, Hancock being next, and then you're getting that call for Blindside that just turned around. What solidified that for you?
So I didn't have any connections to Blindside like I did like Hancock. You know, I had a connection to the director. I had zero connections to this one. And it's funny because I auditioned the first time I auditioned for it. I auditioned via self-tape in Texas, which was so much harder to do back then. Now we have iPhones. I can do it all on my phone. Back then, you used to have like you remember flip cameras that had like the little USB that would.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you had to shoot your self-tape on that. Plug that thing into your computer. Pray to God it didn't shut your computer down, and hopefully send it correctly. And that's how you used to have to do it. Now it's all on your phone. There are sites you can use. It's so much easier. So I auditioned with a self-tape with a flip camera in Texas, and I got a call back for it. I actually faked. So I hated doing auditions growing up, and they seemed like chores. I hated it so much. I did. And I remember I tried to fake sick for that audition so I didn't have to do it. I swear. I was like 12 years old. I was not having it. I was like, I don't want to do this audition. Like, I don't care. Like, my parents were like, no, just do it. Just power through. Do it. We'll get it done. I was like, okay, whatever. So, yeah, right? How weird, how different that could have been. I pretended like I was sick. And so, and they said no. So I did it. And I got a call back, which is essentially them saying like, hey, like, we really like you potentially for this role. We want you to read for it again. So it's not like lightning was striking and you just did good one time, and you're actually horrible. We want to see you do it again. Make sure you're consistent. We can get, same kind of results out of you. And so I auditioned again in Austin. I drove to Austin and auditioned on tape for just a casting company out here. And they shipped it out to, the company into production or whatever. And then from there, I got a call and they were like, they really like you. You're really in contention for this role. They want you to read again in person. They were going to fly you to Atlanta. You're going to audition in front of the director and the producers, which is at that point, it's like, dude, it's got to be me and two, maybe one, maybe two other guys at that point. They're really narrowing it down at that point. And so me and my dad fly to Atlanta. I'm there for 2 days. I read, do my audition. It's actually, I met Q. Q had already had the role. And so they made me audition. He was my reader for my audition. He'd already booked it. And I think they also wanted to see how compatible we were. And like, could we make this work? And me and Q, we lucked out because the way you see us on screen is how we were 10 minutes after meeting each other.
Wow.
Like I don't know what it is. Like, it's like you said, everything happens for a reason. We're just like cogs and we perfectly fit. The jokes he makes are funny to me. The jokes I make are funny to him. Like, we say the same type of stuff. Like, great pal. Like, we were best buddies before that audition was even over. And I think that was that's what solidified it. Was they were like, me and his relationship. They were like, their relationship off screen is what we want to capture. Is like that we want them to do that kind of stuff on screen. And of course, coming from a football background, with my dad, we talked football and they asked me questions about football. And I think they were actually shocked that I knew probably more than they did. About
it
football.
worked out.
Yeah, and so they were like, "This is the guy." And so I'll never forget it. I flew out on Tuesday, auditioned on Wednesday, flew back to Texas on Thursday, got home from the airport, laid down, took my shoes off, my phone rang, and it was my manager calling saying, "You booked it. You're leaving on Sunday."
Man.
Like, bang. Like, on Thursday. And that would have been Easter Sunday. And so I left, and they were like, "You're going to be gone 3.5 months. And so I was in 6th grade at the time. So that Friday, I went in and I need my next 3 months worth of work for all my classes. And so that's what I did. I went to all my classrooms and grabbed basically the second half of the school year's worth of work. And Sunday, went to the airport, flew to Atlanta, and I was there for 3 months.
That's crazy.
I'm telling you, it changes real quick.
That's so crazy.
But so that's how that happened. So that's how that came down, and then yeah. So that's how.
When did you get to meet Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw? I mean, that was such a great cast you guys had.
I'm trying to remember when I met. I would assume I met Tim at the table read when I met Sandy. That's when I met her. That's when I met everybody else other than Q, pretty much at the table read. Before, right when everybody first gets to town, and it's the first time like you're all together. This is because before you start shooting, you got to do all the photos and all this stuff to they got to put stuff in the house to make it look like you live there, and like it's your family photos and family. You got to do all that stuff. So we did all that after the table read because he wanted us to all go through it and kind of start getting connected to each other to build whatever of the closest thing to a family that we could in the 6 weeks we had until we started shooting, 5 weeks or whatever it was. And yeah, getting to meet Sandy was awesome because I didn't know what to expect from her because the only thing I'd ever seen her in at that point was Miss Congeniality. So I was like, okay, her, I guess is going to be my mom. Okay. I was like, I guess, yeah, sure. But she's so cool. And like, that's one of the most professional, just not even actresses, just performers, actors, just professionals I've ever worked with. Like, she is as good as ever. Like, there's a reason she's an Oscar winner. Like, just the standard that she's at and that she expects everybody else to be at is like, you don't want to be the guy. You don't want to be the weakest one in the chain. Like, you want to be, and she makes you want to be better. Like, you sit there and you just like watch her out, like how she move. How does she handle this? How does she do this? What is her approach to this? And she's the coolest person ever. And she's the first. Yeah, that's my dog. He's passed out in the laundry over there. He's snoozing. Yeah, he had to get comfy. He had to reposition. But she's so nice. Like the coolest. I always tell the story when people ask me what she like. She asked me one day. This was probably halfway through the shoot. She asked me one day. She said, "Hey, if you could have any dessert, what would it be? What's your favorite dessert?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know. It'd probably be pecan pie. I'm from Texas. We like pecan pie." She goes, "Oh yeah, no, I love. Yeah, it's great. Wait, I don't think anything about it. I go on with my day, whatever." I come in the next morning and I'm sitting in my trailer getting dressed, getting ready for the day, and there's a knock on the door. And I open it up, and there's Sandra Bullock, the future Oscar winner, sitting there with a homemade pecan pie. And she said, "I know you're not at home, but I hope this makes you feel less homesick." And
wow,
oh, that's so cute.
For no reason at all, other than just because that's the kind of person she is. Wow. And it's like, that's always the story I tell when people ask me what she like, because that's all you need. That tells you everything you need to know. She is the sweetest human being. But I will say, horrifying if you're screwing around and you're not supposed to. Like, if it's work time, it's like, let's get stuff done time, and you are not on that page, you'll figure it out real quick. You better find that page, because she's as nice as she is. I would not want her mad at me, because she is horrifying when she is mad.
I
but it's just because she expects, like, there's a standard. She's like, this is how we do things. This is how it happens, and this is. She's like, if it's my movie and I'm gonna have my name attached to it, this is how we're gonna do things.
Yeah.
I was just like, yes, ma'am. Yeah, whatever you say, whatever. I'll do whatever you want. And so she's so amazing. And then, working with Tim, I assume I met Tim at the table read. I don't remember. It's so weird. I don't remember actually meeting him, but I assume that's probably when it was. And he's so, man, I wanted to be him so bad. I did. He's just so cool. He's got that old school, like, cool cowboy. He just walks in. He's kind of slow, smile at you, and, hey, how you doing? How's your morning? Go, oh, good. You just got that, like, you're just like, God, I bet he eats nails for breakfast. Like, you know what I mean? I bet he had rocks in his cereal this morning. Like, that guy's just a tough guy. And then, like, he always has his guitar, so he'll sit there, and at any given time, he'll just bust out his guitar and start playing, start singing. If you have a recommendation, throw it in. He'll start singing it. If you know the words, sing with him. He doesn't care. Like,
that's crazy.
Coolest guy. He actually gave me a baby Taylor guitar as a rap present that he signed, and was like, hey, thank you. It was great to work with you. And I don't know why I didn't. He told me, he goes, if you ever learn how to play this guitar, I will let you come on stage and play it with me. And I never learned how to freaking play it.
You got to get on it, man.
That's what I said. I have to learn how to play this guitar immediately. I have to go on stage and be a rock star with my dad.
I grew up listening to Tim, man.
Yeah. I was a big fan.
Big in the country.
Yeah, I was a big fan long before I booked that role. That was just a bonus for me getting to work with him, because I was already a fan. Like I said, Sandra, I didn't know her too well at that time, just because I was young. Yeah. Now I've seen all her work, and now I get it. Now, but working with those two is really great, because they're just, like I said, they're both insanely professional, but in completely different ways. Tim is, you can tell he's the rock star. He's more laid back. He'll show up and hey, let's get a little warm up going. Let's what are we thinking for this? Kind of. Sandra's all like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna lay it all out like this is and the way they play off of each other is great, and it made it so much easier. Like, there's so many, like, little parts in the film that are not even big parts that were just, like, thrown in because we could just naturally have that kind of chemistry together. And I love it when you have that. And it's not always easy to have that with actors.
Yeah, for sure. So I know we're kind of hitting some time here, and, we could talk all day, man. I feel like I want to pass it over to Fabi. She could end it up with a question she asked. So I don't know if she changed it up for season 2 or if she's going to keep the same one. Because we take a lot of, like, advice. That's like her question, is asking for advice. And we take that and put it in towards our show and things like that. And so our viewers can even hear it.
Right.
Fabi, I'm going to pass that over to you.
Yeah, I feel like you already, like, answered the question.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, like I don't know, like, and also because he was talking about how you post, like, the motivational stuff. So I feel like you kind of carry out through your life. But I usually tend to ask, like, what's any, like, piece of advice that you would like to give us or, like, the viewers that, like, has really impacted your life, or, something that somebody told you that you always remember?
I would say some of the best, it wasn't even told to me. I think I just heard it or read it somewhere. And you only have to get it right one time, right? Like, whatever you're doing, like, you're going to screw it up 100,000 times, right? Like I said, with my videos, the first one I did, like I said, I'm pretty sure it cut off, like, in the middle of it, right? But I kept doing them, and you keep getting better. You keep doing it, and you keep showing up. And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really look like you're doing it. You're like, I'm doing this over and over. Why? Like, there's no point to this. It's nothing. But you don't realize, you don't see the small incremental, improvements and upgrades that you make as you go along the way. So the thing I would say is, you only got to get it right one time. So if you find yourself trying to do things over and over again, and it's like, you can't seem to get it right, it's okay, because each time you do it, each time you fall, you get a little closer. All you got to do is fall enough times till you get there. Like I said, you only got to get it right one time. Mm-hmm. So you just got to be willing to go through all those falls all those times that you don't get it right. You know, it's I think what was it Edison? He says, no, I didn't fail. I just found 1,000 ways how not to make a light bulb. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the attitude you got to have with it. Like, if it's a podcast, or if it's your career, or if it's as an actor or an artist or whatever it might be, and you're like, you know, as long as you know any movement, as long as you're going the right direction, you're okay. It doesn't matter how fast. That's the thing, is everybody wants to get there, but it's the skills and the things you gather along the way that makes you that person that is able to accomplish those things. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the thing, is a lot of people, you know, they want it all done, and they think it's just, I just got to do this one thing and it'll be done. And it's like, no, it's a process. It's like starting a show. It's like your episodes are going to get better each time, because you learn from the last. Okay, what did we not like? What did we not, you know, what did we do that we wish we'd have done differently? What can we do? You know, but you only got to get it right one time. So don't beat yourself up for getting it wrong a billion times. Just get it right one time. So that's what I would say.
Perfect.
Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Well, there you have it. We had Jae Head on the show. Man, I hope in the future we could get you and Q on. I'm
sure we can. I'm sure me and Q love doing stuff like that. So I'm sure we'll get. I'm sure. I have no idea what he's doing these days. I hadn't talked to him in a couple weeks, but I'm sure we could get something set up if we wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. No, it'd be awesome, man. If that's something you guys wanted to do as well. But there you have it, Jae Head. Amazing podcast episode. We don't even want to call it an interview, man, because it was just a whole vibe. But yeah, no, we appreciate you being on, man.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. I had a blast.
Thank you for working with all of the.
I feel like
mutes and
partially my fault, so like I apologize for that as well. Like don't even worry about it.
Behind the scenes, we had some like technical difficulties, if anybody's wondering, but we worked through it. We'll edit it, get it all looking good, and yeah, man, we appreciate it.
For sure. Well, I had a great time, and yeah, I think I'm sure we'll do this again at some point.
For sure, man. Appreciate you.
All right, you guys have a great one.
Thank you too.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Archives with Adam and Fab. Be sure to follow us on social media and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcast. And most importantly, thank you so much for your continued support. We're having a lot of fun making these episodes, and we hope you guys are enjoying them as well. Stay tuned. We have a lot more exciting content for you guys coming soon.